So the Jaguars just lost today 34-3 against the San Francisco 49ers. What the fuck? Now, before we get into this atrocity of a football game, shout out to this video sponsor, BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything, anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
So the Jaguars were 3-point underdogs going into this game, and safe to say we did not cover. So the Jaguars dropped to 6-3 against the spread this year, and that, of course, goes by the rule of when the Jaguars win, they cover. When they lose, they do not cover. So the Jaguars are currently, like I said, 6-3 on the season and against the spread. If you guys want to get in on some of the action, I have a 125% bonus link for you guys down below. Click that and hit up some different games, whether maybe that'll make some of these primetime games like tomorrow night's Bills versus Broncos game just a little more exciting for you guys. Thank you, BetUS, for sponsoring this video. Now, I guess we have to recap. So like I said earlier, this game absolutely sucked, man. And, the 49ers going into this game, they started off the year 5-0. They looked like clearly one of the best teams in the NFL. They were like everyone's Super Bowl favorite. They looked awesome. And then they were on a 3-game losing skid after that. And so they came into this game 5-3 coming off of a bye week. And a big reason the 49ers were in this big skid was due to the fact that they had, several injuries around on their team, especially with like Trent Williams and like Deebo Samuel. But with a bye week, it kind of gave them time to regroup, get healthy, and, go forward. While the Jaguars went into the bye week with a lot of momentum, and I was honestly a little bit worried going into this game about, look, the Jaguars have all this momentum. What is a week off of, being sit back, relaxed, feeling good about the season? What is the urgency going to be? Because clearly when the Jaguars are playing at home, they're not doing a bunch of traveling. They're not going to London. Maybe if they played this game in London, we'd be good. But we stayed in Jacksonville, sit back, relax, while the 49ers were trying to regroup. They got better with getting Chase Young. They made the transcontinental flight, came over here, and, they were focused. And, it clearly meant a lot more to them. I mean, they were by far the better team today, and, they deserved to get this W. And, really with this one, man, I really can't even blame the defense all that much. I mean, you look at it, 34-3, they gave up a lot of points, but, the defense for a while we're holding the 49ers down, man. I mean, the Jaguars only had like a 10-point deficit for a big portion of the game. But then there was a 5-possession stretch with the Jaguars where they fumbled, got a field goal, threw an interception, fumbled again, threw an interception, and it was just really bad, the performance. And I was super disappointed in the Jaguars' offensive line. I mean, the 49ers, I give them credit. They got some freaking dogs on a defensive line. To start off, they got like Nick Bosa, they got Armstead, they traded for Chase Young, and they have like first-round picks like Cleveland Farrell as like backups. They have a really good defensive line. I mean, that's an exceptional defensive line. And if that unit stays healthy, they're going to be really, really good, and they're going to, probably go on a huge streak here and, potentially be a number 1 seed. It's hard to stop the team that we saw, play there today. And but I'm just super disappointed in the offensive line. I was really hoping that with this game, it was going to be a game where, like, you look at the offensive line, it's like, you know what? Maybe this O-line will be good now. You have Cam Robinson back, Walker Little's there at left guard, Brandon Sheriff, Anton Harrison's getting some, experience under his belt. And, you looked at it and said, look, maybe this offensive line is solidified. It was not. I mean, pretty much all the offensive linemen played bad. I guess Cam Robinson wasn't too bad, maybe Brandon Sheriff, but man, there were just times where all these guys were missing blocks and all these guys were getting manhandled, and it stopped everything with this offense. The run game wasn't great. The passing game was obviously super disappointing, and you look at the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, quite frankly, wasn't good today. 17 for 29. That's a 59% completion percentage, 185 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, Trevor Lawrence this game looked uncomfortable. He was flustered, and the offense was never in a groove. And I think the big flaw about Trevor Lawrence this game was just holding the ball for way too long. And I don't know, I don't know what was deep because, I really wish, I don't know if you guys have ever watched the Thursday night football games. They have the next gen stats view. You get it like an all 22 view. I really wish that was available for like games like this so you could really see what's going on the back end, but of course that's not available. So, we kind of had to go with what we saw. But man, when they were doing replays, just guys weren't getting open. I mean, what's going on with Ridley? Why we thought we were getting this tremendous number 1 receiver with Calvin Ridley, but the guy just, he looks like a number 3 or number 2. He's just not very dynamic. Calvin Ridley this game, 2 receptions for 20 yards. Kirk had a good game, 6 receptions, 104 yards. He seems to be the only reliable receiver right now on the team. And even he had his flaws this game. And really only 3 receivers on this team had catches. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Tim Jones. I'm just sitting here looking at this offense, and I'm like, so we're running out there like Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, like Tim Jones, Elijah Cooks, Jamal Agnew, who got hurt. I'm just like, man, where are our playmakers? I'm like, man, this is real. I guess Zay Jones is really going to make a difference with this offense because, geez, man, I don't know. That's kind of a disappointing unit because none of them are doing a whole lot besides like Christian Kirk. But, I think with this team, man, we just continue to shoot ourselves in the foot. It's like we get these good drives, we get in the red zone, and then it's like instead of being disappointed by a field goal, we get disappointed by like a disgusting turnover. This game, Christian Kirk fumbled, at like the 13-yard line. When we got down in territory, Trevor Lawrence getting pressured somehow doesn't know to hold on to the ball like this. And, he fumbles and just a whole lot of just terribleness this game. Tank Bigsby, oh my God, the pass goes off his hands and it's intercepted. Gosh, I'm so tired of Tank Bigsby right now. This man, talk about a terrible 3rd-round pick it's looking for us right now. It's already bad enough to take a running back, in the top 3 rounds, but at least if you get a running back, they should be pretty freaking good. Tank Bigsby is a complete liability. And, they give it to him, and it's like he just tips it up. And look, granted, the pass maybe wasn't an easy one. But what can you say? Trevor Lawrence is getting tackled. It's not like Trevor can be like, okay, here you go. Like, he had to put a little bit behind it, but Tank Bigsby is an NFL football player, and it hit him in the hands. I always side with the fact that, when the ball hits you in the hands and when you're an NFL player, you got to catch it, and just tips up and it's intercepted, and just the game went awry from there. And the Jaguars red zone woes are just ridiculous, man. And overall, man, should we be worried about the offense? I think yes. The first 2 months, I was kind of excusing some struggles. I said, look, at one point, we're going to unleash and unlock everything. But, and look, winning is a good deodorant. The Jaguars had a 5-game winning streak, and, it covered up some big flaws with the Jaguars offense. But, the offensive line gets pushed around. It just looks weak at times, and it just doesn't look good. Like, I don't know if the wide receivers on a unit right now are good enough to really win stuff. And, Trevor Lawrence hasn't really been dealing the way we want him to deal. When you look at him this year, stats are stats, but this year he has 2,120 yards passing, 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, only 2 multi-touchdown games. And look, we can find all the excuses for him and everything. And look, they're definitely out there. It's really hard when you're playing quarterback and the interior offensive line is so bad where you can't really step up. Trevor Lawrence, some of his best stuff is when he steps up in the pocket and lets it rip, but he's not really able to do a lot of that. He's getting rattled. And I know, me personally, I believe in him, but no one's above criticism. And I still think he's a franchise quarterback. It's just all about, like, man, can he figure out a way just to just play a little bit better? I was hoping this game would be much like the Lions Chargers game, where it's just high scoring, you get a bunch of touchdowns, and that's how it goes. I was really hoping that it would be that kind of game, but the 49ers did their part. They were scoring plenty of touchdowns, but The Jaguars got 0 touchdowns today, and it was just a awful, awful game. And look, the defense I thought was decent. I mean, honestly, the offense just wasn't doing enough, and the defense just, they look at all the weapons they have. They have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk. They got weapons all over the place, man. I mean, what can you do? And even Brock Purdy, like when a pocket was collapsing, he was making some really good throws. So they were holding 49ers for a while, but then the straw did finally break. And overall defense, I'll just give a shout out to Aluakin, 2 sacks. But outside of that, I mean, I'm not going to fixate too much on the defense. But overall, this game isn't looked at in a vacuum. The whole entire season is looked at. And, the Jaguars right now are 6-3. And, I mentioned the Lions earlier. Look, the Lions are 5-1 in their last 6 games. And their loss included a 38-6 loss versus a really good Ravens team. You look at the Jaguars, they're 5-1 in the last 6 games with a really bad loss, a 34-3 loss against a really good San Francisco 49ers team. So Jaguars just had to rebound. I think the Jaguars are honestly at their best when, their backs are against the wall. And right now it's like that. I mean, you got 2 division games coming up. 2 division games against the Titans at home, where the Jaguars are right now 1-3 at home. Just awful. I'm sorry for season ticket holders out there. The Jaguars are undefeated outside the Jacksonville, but they can't. 25% win percentage in Jacksonville this year. Not very good. And the Jaguars have Titans next week. And then after that, they have an away game in Houston. And look, Houston is right on our tails right now, because if you look at the AFC race right now, the Jaguars start out the day with the number 3 seed. And they're going to end the day with the number 3 seed, with the Ravens losing. However, the Texans right now have advanced in a number 7 seed. They're in a wild card spot. But the thing is, when you look at the AFC South race, the Jaguars are 6-3 and the Texans are 5-4. The Jaguars are just 1 game ahead of the Texans right now. The Jaguars next week have the Titans. The Texans next week have the Cardinals. Luckily Kyler Murray's back and they did win today. So they beat the Falcons today. So that's definitely a losable game for the Texans. But there's a real chance that in 2 weeks, that game could be for first place in the AFC South. Geez, that would be crazy. And CJ Stroud is playing really good quarterback, and it's going to be a wild finish to the season. And look, if you're I don't know what else to say. It's rough. But let's get this game away. Let's hope that this motivates the team, this wakes the team up a little bit, and let's get a win for the fan base at home, man. Golly. So yeah, with all that said, look, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. They're a great sponsor, so definitely support them if you guys can. Like I said, link down below for 125% sign up bonus. They're a big sponsor of the channel this year, so I continue to push out content while I'm working a full-time job and I'm studying for CPA exams, and I'm just got a lot going on in life right now, but BetUS is making it possible to keep pumping out videos. But yeah, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Go Jags.